Okay, let's give this thing a shot. I have not done an Advanced Wars by Web stream before, so if this is a little awkward as I kind of figure out how to do this, then I apologize, but I will do my best here to make it work. But yeah, I said I would do a stream when I hit 1700 rank and or 1700 ELO rank 1. So this is that stream, and I'll stream as long as I can until my son wakes up, which could be literally any time. Although I'm not expecting him to wake up for at least another hour, but you never know. So we'll get through as much as we can. But if I have to suddenly bail, then I just apologize in advance. Ooh, am I dropping frames? A little bit. Okay, I hope we can stabilize that. Anyway, I'm just gonna get going while everything's working. So I figured I'd just go over the game that got me to 1700 against Starflash, because I feel like people probably want me to talk about that game. And I can do other games later if somehow we get through this one and there's still time left, although I kind of doubt it. So anyway, this is a tier 2 match on the map called Redemption World, and I don't really like this map at all. It's very brawly. I don't really like brawls. I feel like brawl maps can be kind of high variance, so it's not really my favorite, but at least it starts off a little slow, so I don't mind that. And might as well just get into it here. What I'll probably be doing as I go through this is I will be switching between kind of the full view and my view. I don't really think you can properly commentate a fog replay unless you're only looking at one person's view, because you're not really experiencing the game the same way that the player is. So I probably will be switching that pretty often. And I guess I should probably go over the CO picks before I get into it. I just went with Olaf because it's very safe. I could have picked Eagle, but I was a little bit scared of Max, and I know Starflash likes to play very aggressively, so I felt like Olaf was a safer counter to Max, because oftentimes if you play Eagle against Max, you are you're going to end up behind on income, and you get really interesting and fun games to play, but I was going to try and just play it safe by going Olaf. And then I don't like Max. I don't like having to like play aggressively in order to win. It's just not my style. So I really don't like the idea of Max on this map, even though I think Max is very popular on this map and probably pretty good. But it's just not for me. So I went Olaf, and so did Starflash, so we got an Olaf mirror, which is fine. I'm totally fine playing Olaf mirrors, because I generally feel pretty confident that I can just like outplay in a mirror match as long as the COs are the same. So without further ado, let's kind of get into it a little bit. We can kind of zoom through the first few turns here. So nothing interesting is going to happen as we do our initial caps. Ooh. How do I auto advance it with the key press? I'm not clicking all the time. I know there's a way to do this. Controls. How do it's K. Okay, got it. All right, that's better. So a very standard cap phase from Starflash, and this is the first turn that I'm going to start to do something interesting. Actually, I take that back. It's not this turn. So we're just building infantry. No day 3 recon from Starflash, so that's not too surprising. Day 3 recon is not that great on this map, because normally you want to build it like up here so that you can, I mean, yes, you can build it over here, but then like you are missing out on an infantry, and you really need all the infantry to cap these properties. If you build it over here, I mean, it's fine, but you also, especially as player 1, you're you're going to be kind of hindering your cap phase a lot because there's just a lot of things that your infantry need to get to. So day 3 recon is kind of uncommon on this map. And so what I'm going to do as Starflash continues the cap phase, very standard, is I'm going to take this infantry here, and instead of going for one of these 2 properties, which are in range, I'm actually going to go straight up for this contested property up here. And basically the reason for this is that will end up capturing this property before a day 4 recon can get there. And if Starflash ends up going day 4 recon, which I was kind of expecting, then it will basically arrive here on like day 6, and or not on day 6. I think like on day 7 in range to attack. But by that point, I will already have the property. And then if I do get attacked on day 7, I think, on this property, then it kind of reveals a lot of information about the opener. So against day 4 recon is pretty good. But even if it's not against day 4 recon, just getting this property early is pretty good, because then I can shift this infantry like over here to start getting that property pretty early. And I'm only missing out on 1,000 income by doing this property skip. So it's not a huge economic cost, and it can make the game a lot easier for me later on. So that's what I'm going to do here, other than just the normal movement. And standard cap phase stuff. I think it's interesting that Starflash chose to cap in this direction first rather than this way. I don't know why. I don't necessarily think it's bad or anything like that. I just don't know why. Okay, and then Starflash goes a tank in the opener, which is, if you're not going day 4 recon, this is another very standard way to open, because it's very good against harass. And often you're going to get harassed up here because you only have 1 factory. So the 2 factory side is going to harass the 1 factory side. So building a tank here is kind of anticipating the harass and kind of deciding to play defensive and to try and counter my build, which is the day 4 recon. Anyway, we continue with normal cap phase stuff. And then I do like this opener, kind of recon into artillery. You can basically put a lot of pressure on this. And if you don't do what I did and get to this property early, then this recon will get here in time to basically prevent a cap of this city and kind of force a bunch of fighting here, which is generally good for me because my reinforced to here is going to be faster because I have 2 factories that can come up here versus 1. So that's at least that was my idea. And I actually saw Starflash do this opener in one of the replays that I looked at, so I thought it was good, and I stole it, but I changed this cap phase thing because I wanted to improve the opener a little bit. And so now actually Starflash is skipping this city and trying to get this more quickly, which is kind of interesting. And actually I don't know if you call it a timing or an anti-timing, but because he has this tank here, it kind of seems like he wants to get harassed here, which is, fortunately for him, exactly what's going to happen. Anyway, at this point we're both playing blind, so it just is what it is. And then there's another tank coming here. And so I think at this point, now that we are kind of past the initial cap phase, I'm going to just switch to my vision. Where's my menu? There we go. Oh, we went away. Come on, come back. Come back, menu. Okay, visual settings. Yeah, so we're going to switch to my vision only for a while, just so you can see this from my perspective. because the commentary won't make sense if you're seeing everything. You kind of need to see it from my perspective to understand the decisions that I made. So I'm really happy that I got the city capped. This means that there's no day 3 recon. I wasn't expecting one, but it's just kind of nice because day 3 recon would have been really frustrating if it had shown up and attacked my infantry there. And I move the recon up and see nothing here, so it's like great. If this gets capped, then we can go and send the recon in. And then more standard cap phase stuff. Then I built a tank here. I was thinking about building it here actually, but I was a little bit worried that if I'm playing against the tank opener, which is what we are going to end up playing against, but at this time obviously I don't know, because I don't know if a recon's about to come into this infantry on the next turn. But my idea is basically like, okay, if I'm playing against the tank opener, this recon's going to get slapped, and we could have a big fight here. In which case, I'm going to want the tank on this side. If the recon comes in this infantry, then I'm going to have wanted it on the other side. But I'm kind of in the blind about that decision right now. So I just chose to put all my stuff on the right side. Okay, so a bunch of stuff is happening off screen. But I do see this infantry show up here, and this is the normal timing for it to show up. So this is kind of what I was, I guess, like maybe hoping for. The one scary thing though is that I didn't see the recon slam into this infantry, so I'm kind of suspecting that I'm against a tank opener. But I've kind of committed to my play right now. I've got this city. I want to deny this city and kind of keep that going. And so I'm going to be sending my recon in kind of no matter what, even if there is a tank to fight against me. I send it in, and now I see the tank here, and this is like kind of worst case scenario for me because this tank is like 2 turns old, right? So for all I know, there could be units over here, but there could also be a second tank here. And so what I want to do is, let's see. So I want to put the artillery here, so that I can cover this recon. And if any tank comes in to hit the recon, then I just counterattack with the artillery, and then we're happy. Even if I lose the recon, it's still good for me. But now that this tank is here, I can't really do that anymore, because it's very easy for a second tank to come here, kill the recon, and then get vision of the artillery there, and then have the second tank come and hit the artillery. And so if I do that, then that's like really, really, really bad. So I really had to kind of stop and think about like what I wanted to do with this artillery and where to position it, because if I put it here, I'm basically gambling almost like the whole game that this is not a tank. And I mean, for all I know, like it could be just like, you know, recon tank on this side, and then I'm fine. But it's pretty tough to risk the whole game on a decision on day 7. So instead, I do some cap stuff. But okay, so I end up putting it here, and the idea is maybe the tank will come to here to hit this recon, because this plains tile has a higher defense than the road. Because obviously, if it comes from the city, then that's actually kind of great because I've prevented that cap. So if he attacks from the city, I'll live with that. If he attacks from here, then this is like a 0 defense tile. So if I had like, you know, a tank to fight against this, then I could pop it pretty well. But I figure if I put it here, at least I have a chance to get lucky if my opponent makes a mistake. And by putting it here, even if I lose the recon, this tank can no longer reach my artillery, and neither can this one. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, so I'm safe from getting reamed, and I'm gonna lose my recon pretty much no matter what. but at least I'll get to continue playing. And basically what I want to do here is I want to send one of these infantry up here to just to kill this infantry, and it's not the greatest opener for me, but at least I haven't like totally thrown the game, and I give myself a chance to keep playing. What was it? It was K? Yeah, K is the next move. Okay. And I bring my tank up because it seems pretty obvious that we're going to be fighting around there. And then I build another tank on that side. I just want to stream tanks in and build a recon just to kind of see what's going on here. But don't really have plans to harass. This is mostly a defensive recon. I just want to know if there's anything coming in. And also, eventually I'm going to get to this tile, and I want to know if this is going to be contested or not. So getting a recon over there is the fastest way to do that. Okay, and so right away, we see the second tank come from here, which means that my decision to keep the artillery back was very good. It was kind of an unfortunate situation, but that's how it goes. So I lose my recon, but I should be able to at least interrupt the city cap next turn. So it's not like it accomplished nothing, but it kind of sucks that I couldn't use the artillery yet. Okay, so a bunch of stuff's happening off screen, and actually this infantry comes onto the city, and I was like, when I saw this, I was like, okay, don't know about that one. This seems like really, really crazy aggressive to me. There is no way ever that he's going to be able to steal the city from me. Like, not a chance. So unless he wants to fight here, this is just putting an infantry in a bad situation where it's going to die in like a turn or two and accomplish nothing. But I didn't hate it. I mean, I don't mind seeing that because I know I can defend this pretty easily, especially with the recon that I made last turn. Okay, so now you can see how much I feel threatened by this infantry. I've come with this infantry, and then I promptly ignore it. Okay, so I'm going to come up here, and I'm just going to pop this infantry. This is kind of a forced move. Kill that on the city. I would have liked to use this infantry to go to this city and start capping that instead, but I needed the vision. It's kind of unfortunate, but you know, what can you do? And it is nice I can actually fight into the tank now because it's on the road, and then I can so you see here, like I didn't even send this infantry into the city. I'm like, yeah, whatever, dude, you're not getting this. So I just send it over to cap it, to cap this other city. So I'm not feeling threatened by that infantry at all. And now I want to get as many tanks as possible because it's pretty obvious that we're just going to be fighting with tanks in the middle. I was a little bit scared this turn because if there's a third tank here, then he can send like one tank to hit the artillery, and then a second tank, and then this tank into this tank and kill it. And then I'm in pretty rough shape. It's not like unsalvageable, but I kind of felt like that was a little bit unlikely because if there's a third tank, it would have had to have been built from this factory, and I just killed an infantry here, so I feel like he's going to want to at least have some infantry over there to kind of replace the one that he lost, because otherwise I've got two factories here, and so if he's pumping tanks from this factory every single turn, eventually I'm going to be able to win the infantry fight because I'm just going to have more dudes. Okay, so a bunch of stuff's happening off screen. There's a tank that comes in to hit my artillery, and the other tank retreats. And so when I saw this, I was like, great, this is exactly what I wanted. I mean, it's not wonderful that he hit the artillery, but at the same time, like, that artillery is not dead, and that tank is super dead, and this 8 HP tank did not get hit. So we kind of got decent value. Actually, we kind of covered for our recon that died by getting a first hit on that other tank and then not getting retaliated on. Because losing 4/5 of an artillery versus killing the tank is roughly even. And now that this infantry is here, trying to protect this, like this is, I mean, they call this the Mang's infantry. Is that's what they call it? Like, this infantry has no business being down there. It's just going to die, and it shouldn't have even been brought there. So I don't know what the plan was there. But anyway, so I get to kill that. And I can pop this infantry again. And I mean, it's down to 1 HP, but there's no way it was ever going to cap this city anyway. And then I got a free infantry here too, which is awesome. And I get to repair this infantry. So this little skirmish over here has gone super, super well for me. And then I'm thinking, what's the best use of this artillery? Well, the best use of this artillery would be just to plink down this 1 HP infantry next turn. So I just kind of move it over, and then it's also out of vision, which is nice. And then if he sends a unit in to kill this artillery, I've actually got a lot of tanks in position. So it's probably pretty good as a bait. And I just finish off that tank there. And we continue our capping. And I want to get this city. It's really an overextension to try and think about capping this. I'm not really interested in doing that. I don't want to make the same mistake that he's making on the other side. So I just pull back and focus on my side of the map. And one last thing, so I actually didn't move this infantry up here. It seems like the fact that he didn't have another tank to fight me over here means that certainly he's got stuff over here, because if there's no units made here the previous turn, then there's got to be stuff in this area. And this is like a really likely property to get contested, and I don't have vision here. So like if he's got like a recon on here and I move my infantry and get trapped, then that infantry is going to be dead. I've got like no units in this area, so I'd rather just wait a turn. And if he tries to get cheeky and cap this, then I'm going to be able to see it with my recon next turn, and then I'll have 2 infantry in position to deny. But I think it's okay to wait. And actually, if I can find the menu. Oops. If we turn off the vision here, we can see he does actually have a recon here. So if I tried to cap this, it would not have gone well. I would have just lost that infantry. So that was a really good play for me. Okay, so this is a really aggressive turn by Starflash. When I saw this, I was really excited because I felt like this is a really fortunate move for me. I was a little bit sad on some level, because if I had put this tank on the city instead, I could have really wiped out this tank force and probably contested this. But instead, I still have some pretty good moves because I just made a bunch of tanks, and he threw away a tank to ping my artillery, and now I've got the tank lead. And also, he's pretty far extended onto my side of the map on both sides. So if we're fighting on my side of the map, especially for like infantry battles, that's likely going to go pretty well for me. So I get some value out of this 2 HP artillery. And that's actually nice because that guarantees that I'm going to be able to 2-shot this infantry down with my infantry. So it actually is really useful. Otherwise, I would have had to use this 3 HP infantry, which, I mean, I guess it would have been fine, but I think I get a little bit unlucky there. It's not, I think it's like a 30% chance to one-shot that recon. But it would have been nice, because then I could have used this infantry to attack this infantry. But instead I need to use this infantry to pop the 1 HP recon. But then that lets me send this recon in, take the artillery, and so now I've like totally shut down this side. And there's kind of no way that he's going to be able to get momentum on that side for a while. Obviously this recon is going to die, but that's fine. It did its job. It's kind of already paid for itself by hitting the artillery. It's like 3,000 worth of damage for 4,000 units, so it's pretty close to even. And I think that the recon hit an infantry as well, so that recon did great. And now I can focus on the tank fight over here as well. I'm actually a little annoyed because I moved this infantry over here, and I think I could have moved it like here, and then it would have been in position to hit this infantry, and now it's kind of in no man's land, so I'm a little annoyed about that, but what can you do? And now that I see the recon went over here, now I'm like, okay, I can definitely start capping this. Unfortunately, he's got a guy here to defend, but that's okay, because he's going to have to attack from a low defense tile onto my city, so we can kind of skirmish over there. It's not a big deal. I was a little nervous about that one because finishing it with the finishing the tank, the 1 HP tank with the infantry is a roll. I don't know the exact percentage odds because it kind of depends on what had happened before, but it wasn't a guarantee. I could have used the 2 HP tank to finish it if I didn't get it, but anyway, it just worked out nicer. And also, I built an anti-air. It seems kind of likely that there could be a copter rolling around here, so I want to build the anti-air just preemptively to have that in position, make sure that I can push with these infantry up towards the city. Because if he's going to deny me here, then I'd love to deny him up here too. I don't know if I was unlucky there not to get the tank or not, but regardless, he has the 1 HP tank lives, but we live with that. You know, it's still a really good turn for us. And just building more tanks. Yeah, so let's see. So yeah, in terms of like deaths versus killed, right? Like I've killed 2 tanks, and I've done about 14k more damage. Obviously, it's his turn now, so he has a chance to catch up on that. But the early brawling has been working out pretty well for me. I was really happy when he didn't get that roll. That's a little bit unlucky for him, because now this 1 HP tank, it's like really awkward to try and keep fighting here. Okay, so my infantry got beat up pretty bad over here, but the tank fight is still going pretty well. I've got like 1, 2, 3 pretty strong tanks, and there's only 2 tanks that I'm staring at here, and I've got some low HP tanks as well. But now this is kind of the critical moment because we're getting close to superpower, and in an Olaf mirror, this is like a really important thing. It's actually like a really obnoxious amount of charge to be left with, because I've been winning the fights, but by winning the fights, that means actually his charge is higher than mine, so he's likely to get the superpower first. But I am like 15,300 away, and I kind of need to make it happen this turn, because otherwise I will have to retreat from the tank fight. Because the one thing you can't do in an Olaf mirror is you can't give your opponent the first CO power and the ability to like blast into your army in the same turn. Like if the opponent spends like their entire turn getting just enough charge for the super, and then they land the super at the end of the turn, like you can kind of live with that, like that's okay. But you can't let them get the first CO power and then also slam into your army with their whole army. Like that's going to swing the game 100% of the time. So I either need to basically get a super here, which is going to be really difficult because I'm 15,000 away, which is like right on the edge of what I'm going to be able to accomplish. Or I need to retreat, and it's just not great. Like retreating is not super fun. I want to get this tile. I want to defend this tile. I want to block this cap that I know is happening because I saw it. So this is a really critical turn. I took a long time on this turn doing all the calculations. But I kind of did some math where basically if you do, tank into tank twice, it's roughly it's like 3,500 or it's roughly like 4,000, 3,500 each hit. So that gets me to about 8,000 for sure. So that's like half of the way there. So once I'm at 8,000, I need to get another 8,000 somewhere. And there's a lot of infantry fighting that I can do. There's a decent chance that there's an infantry over here as well, because I don't vision this, but it seems pretty likely that he could have capped this, or at least is trying to cap it. And I want to use these infantries to go fight over here. And anyway, to make a long story short, I kind of decided that I needed, I was pretty confident that I could do some sacks. Like, if I sack both of these infantry into this recon, then it was looking, and I have to sack these tanks as well. So actually, let me kind of step back a second. So we've got 2 attacks into the tanks. It's roughly about 8,000. We've got these 2 units that are going to get sacked. That's about 2,100. That's like about 10,000. So I only need to find 5,000 elsewhere with the infantry trading in order to get to my super. So to me, that's like, okay, there's enough fighting that we can do on the map to get to 5,000. So I start doing some sacks here. And then I'm always doing that because that's the only way that I could use this infantry. I'm not gonna like super analyze all the math too deep. But basically, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So I could have attacked this tank with this tank, but I did it with the 9 tank because I wanted to actually take more damage. Because it was looking like that could potentially matter. And I took 3 damage there, which was kind of good. Because 3 damage on a tank is, it's an extra 700 charge for getting the extra 1 point of damage on my own tank. And 700 actually matters a whole lot when it's this close. And additionally, these 4 HP tanks, like, I could send more tanks into them to finish them off, but if I'm going to get Winter Fury, actually 4 HP tanks are great to just leave because they're going to take half of their remaining health and damage from the Winter Fury anyway and be kind of useless. So I don't really need to do more than I've done. And actually this tank, at this point I kind of realized this tank actually needs to go into this recon for sure because that's going to be like an extra 2,000 charge. And that's much more charge than I'm going to get by sending it into one of these tanks that's 4 HP. I sack that tank. I was a little annoyed that I didn't get 2 HP off of that tank with that. That was kind of obnoxious. But and then I move this guy up, and I see that this infantry is here, and I'm really happy to see this infantry here because this infantry on the city does a lot of damage to my infantry. And actually, I kind of need to do damage to my own units to be able to get this. I'm now like a little bit less than 4,000 away, and I know I'm going to get 2,000 from the recon. So I need to basically get about another 2,000 of charge from the remaining infantry trading in order to get the super. Which, I've got a lot of infantry left to fight here, and I can always sack these 2 So that's a guaranteed 1100 if I want it, sacking these into the recon. So like worst comes to worst, like that's always an option. But now that I've got this, like now I'm like completely certain that I'm gonna get the super. As you can see, I'm just like kind of creeping closer and closer. I sack that guy, and now I'm 2,000 away or whatever, I'm 2,050 away. Then in the tank, I was kind of hoping that would kill, but I guess it doesn't really matter. Yeah, it doesn't make a huge difference. So I was deciding what I would do with this guy. So like this guy is always able to get the last charge that I need no matter what. But I also knew that this cap was probably not going to happen because he's going to get Winter Fury next turn anyway. So there's like no way that this cap's happening. So I'm just going to use this guy for charge. Does a little bit of damage here. And that gets me the super. And then I can use the 7 HP infantry to plink this here, which is like a little bit more efficient. And so yeah, we found the super after that. And so you can kind of see, I mean, obviously I can't see his unit value in the moment, but boy, we are we are super low unit values. But by getting the super first, it means that I'm going to have my next turn, any sort of fighting that we do is going to contribute charge to my meter, but not to his. And so that's going to give me a small leg up when it comes to the next Winter Fury. And so like obviously this Winter Fury is not like game winning, but him getting Winter Fury first could be game losing. So again, like I kind of avoid losing the game by getting that. Then the counter Winter Fury. Obviously my tanks are pretty overextended, so I was just expecting to lose them. Not a huge surprise. I think I saw all this and I was like, great. Tremendous success. Yeah, so I didn't really take a whole lot of damage from the counter. I felt pretty good about this at the time. Let's see what my stats looked like. So I think we're 10-10, but I'm about to pick off like a bunch of units here. So it's pretty even overall, but and then I also was able to prevent this cap as well. So that's actually like pretty important because if I didn't get the Winter Fury there, then I would have had to send an infantry into the city to interrupt it, and I didn't have vision to do that. So at least not until the end. And it's a little bit unlucky. Yeah, I lost the 1 HP infantry duel. Probably should have just used this infantry to kill it from the beginning, because this infantry can't do anything anyway other than just attack. So I kind of threw away a 1 HP infantry for nothing, but yeah, it's life. Little mistakes. And then I lost that duel as well. I mean, it's okay. Like if I lose those duels, it's giving me a little bit of charge, so it's not the end of the world. And I do a joint cap. I just want to make sure that I lock down this city because he's got this city. So I know I'm 1K behind right now, so I just need to make sure I get this to even it up. And then I'm putting some pressure on this. Kind of unlikely that I'm going to be able to get this city, but I'm hoping that I can lure a copter down with these infantry and then use this anti-air to counterattack into the copter. And then I don't need to overextend into his stuff. I'm just going to stay on my own side of the map. It's fine. And I know I can win this infantry fight now if I pull this tank over. So that's nice because I want to get this city eventually, and I need to kill these infantry, otherwise I won't get that city. So I got like 2,000 charge, but hey, I mean 2,000 charge towards the next superpower could be relevant. And then unfortunately this tank comes over. I didn't really think about it, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I guess he had the tank in the trees instead of here. So there's a tank that shows up there, and then a copter shows up. So now, like, even though the copter's here, like, I could send the anti-air into the copter, but if I do that, then I'm kind of sacrificing both the anti-air and the infantry. So it's kind of like, I'll just wait for a better opportunity. Okay, so yeah, not a whole lot of fighting happens here, but it was good to at least know that there's a copter out here. And actually, I kind of know that I can fight in the middle pretty aggressively this turn because I just saw a copter and a tank up here. So that's like a lot of unit value that's up here and not contributing to the fight in the middle. So these units, like, I can totally take these for free, even though these are like a little bit in the middle of the map. And I might be opportunistic to see if I can get other stuff as well. So yeah, so now I can deny this without any concerns at all, because there's enough stuff over here that I know that I can win a fight over here. Pretty nice artillery positioning. And I knew there had to be an artillery in the trees. I saw that it went in here. But then it took the Winter Fury as well, so it's kind of beat up, but still, it's still worth the tank hit to interrupt, because there's no reason to let him get that city, and eventually it gets hard to get infantry up here after a while because you want to be making so many vehicles. And then I didn't actually talk about this, but so what was it? Yeah, so when I did my Winter Fury, I actually saved up a bunch of money because I knew that whatever I build is going to get slapped by the Winter Fury. So kind of another nice part of getting it first. You can kind of economize around that. So I've actually been saving up a bunch of money with the intention of buying a Neo tank, and now is the turn that I actually have the funds to do it. Oops, sorry, I got ahead of myself there. All right, so we're here now. So I kind of was happy to see this 1 HP tank get repaired. I don't really think it's good to repair 1 HP units in a global damage CO fight, unless it's infantry. I know I'm kind of doing it with the 1 HP artillery here, but this is more opportunistic, and I'm, probably not going to repair it any further than that. But just in general, like, I'm not repairing any of the low HP units. I guess I don't really have too many of them right now, but if I did, I wouldn't be repairing them. And I didn't let myself get baited into this 1 HP tank because it's not important. It's not worth losing a full tank over. Okay, when I saw this turn, I was like, okay, we won. I was pretty confident that after this turn, like, we were gonna win for sure, because I've got a lot of tanks. These tanks are pretty beat up, and this is, I can basically crush this attack. I can almost eliminate all of these tanks, and I don't need to fight here. Like, these infantry are beat up, so they're gonna cap this really slow. This infantry is full HP, but he's also 2 moves away from the city, so I don't really need to contest the city for a little bit. I do need to worry about the copters that are coming, but I've got an anti-air in position, so it feels like you know, I'm pretty well set up for this, and I've got the Neo that's coming really soon. So like, got a lot of weapons about to hit the field. So. And that's a horrible roll, right? Yeah, 9 into a 4, like that's horrendous. Okay, so I was hoping that this tank would be a 3, not a 4, but you can't win them all. And anyway, so I've got the Neo tank here, and so the Neo tank is covering pretty much all this stuff. So feeling pretty good about the middle fight. So yeah, so this is a little bit of a bait as well. So I know that he's got copter, or he's got a copter for sure, and it's gonna probably be arriving here next turn. I've got this artillery, or I think this anti-air that's pretty decently far back, and whatever he sends, if he wants to try and commit to kill this anti-air, he's got to go through a wall, and then also he's going to put himself in range of the Neo tank. So but then I realized, like, okay, Starflash is making copters. The reason he's making copters is because he wants to pump more infantry. So I need to match his copters eventually, otherwise I'm going to start losing out on the unit count. So I really wanted to make a second anti-air this turn, but I was like, yeah, I'm making my own copter. Copter is kind of an anti-air in a sense. And so the economy worked out nicer to just do like copter tank recon infantry. Because if I get an anti-air, then I can't get the recon, so I'm sure that won't hurt me at all. Anyway, so he's got a bunch more tanks, and he does end up hitting the anti-air, which is kind of obnoxious, because now that copter is there in the middle of the map, and I can't do anything about it. Not sure why I did that. Oh, I did it because I wanted to kill it with the new tank. Yeah, that's why. Yeah. So this is the new tank reveal. So the one nice thing about that, so even though my anti-air took a hit, Neo tank reveal gets a free tank, and now he can't really fight the Neo tank. I know he's been making copters, so there's no way he's got a Neo tank of his own. So I just kind of want to keep tank fighting, and I need to get an answer for this copter, but any sort of tank engagements are gonna start snowballing in my favor pretty heavily. And then I smack his anti-air, and this is actually mostly because I realized that I can't deal with this copter, and so I kind of want to retreat. And so the best way to retreat is kind of to put a unit out there on the other side of the map in a high defense tile. It's going to force a bunch of his units to actually team up to kill this thing, and then hopefully he will just kind of take the fall. And again, we have to be wary of the meter, because we're starting to get close to superpower again. And I don't want to do so much damage to him that he gets in range of super, and also can fight into my army, right? Because again, it's okay if your opponent gets the super as long as they have to spend their whole turn building up meter for it. But what's unforgivable is them getting the first super and then also crashing into your army in the same turn. That's how you lose. So he's far enough away that I know that he probably could sack stuff to maybe get a super, but it would take like the whole turn, and then I would get a super and the ability to crash into his army. So I can live with that. And then that tank goes in, and I see the second copter, and I'm just like, oh no, oh no. I was really hoping that second copter wasn't there. Now I can't attack anymore because I'm like really exposed without anti-air. So I kind of kill that tank just to deny vision primarily. And I got to be careful of the charge. Like the charge is really scary, right? So now he's 15k away, less even. So now everything needs to retreat. Yeah, we gotta get everything out of here because there's the potential to get Winter Furied, and we need to just deny him as many opportunities as we can to build charge. And we're gonna lose some tanks near the front, and that's fine. But we still got the Neo tank, and so we're gonna have to, like, anything that comes into the tanks is gonna get countered by the Neo tank. The Neo tank's not gonna care about the superpower. And let's see, what is the unit stats? So yeah, so we've killed 24 and we've lost 20, so we're still doing all right. And I see another join here on this city, and I was really excited to see that. Because with this copter here, like, there is no way that this city is going to get taken. So he's kind of wasting a unit, and still he's not going to get it. And so you can see now, like, the fact that I killed that recon means that he has to be a little awkward with his units. So he had to move that anti-air in there just to get vision. But getting pretty good trades, copters into the tanks. A little risky for him. He probably feels like he's behind, because it's very possible that, I could have another anti-air and then one of those copters is just kind of dead for free. I don't, but I could. But yeah, so fortunately for me, he doesn't quite have enough charge to get the super off. And if he could have gotten the charge if he wanted, but he would have had to sack an anti-air into the tank that was on this city. And so I guess he felt like that wasn't worth it. And then this tank being alive is really great just because it sees so much stuff. Like every time I see some unit come out, like a tank, I know that there wasn't a Neo tank built, right? Because you don't have enough money for a Neo tank and then also a regular tank. And this tank was built last turn, so I'm pretty confident that there's no Neo tank built yet. Just by having this 2 HP tank here that sees this. So I know my Neo tank is just free to kind of run around it and kill stuff. So now I get the first Winter Fury. I don't really have a good way to engage this. So really, I'm just gonna get in good position to retaliate after his Winter Fury, because I can't really fight into his army. But hopefully if we brawl next turn, then I'll build up even more charge when he can't get any meter either. And then that will set me up great for the next Winter Fury, the third one. And then just putting as many infantry on cities as possible. Healing infantry is really good and will allow me to maintain tempo. It's actually kind of nice. He didn't quite have the meter because we did so little fighting that turn. He actually had to generate like 1,500 charge to get his super off, and so he had to basically sack I mean, these units, both of these units are basically sacked, because they're really far forward. So that's like really unfortunate for him to have to put those in that position just to be able to counter with the superpower. And that was actually nice too. That this recon here saw the copter flying by, so I know now there's 3 copters out. That's really important information. Okay, so I'm feeling pretty good about this again. And I know I've built up like a lot of infantry on this side. And so I kind of crippled my income this turn because I repaired the Neo. I actually repaired a bunch of stuff because I want to fight this turn to get charge. So I'm not going to be deploying a lot of units this turn, but that's how it goes sometimes. But I want to start pushing with these infantry. Like these infantry are healed up even after the Winter Fury, and so I want to take advantage of that and kind of catch them off guard. So I put the Neo there on the city. That Neo doesn't need to care about anything because I know, like I've seen the copter, I saw the tank get deployed. I know that if there is a Neo, it's not close enough to threaten me yet. So my Neo is totally safe. And I'm just very focused on getting enough anti-air because I know there's 3 copters out. So I need to make sure that I don't get just totally steamrolled by air units. So I'm building lots of anti-air. And then this is actually kind of interesting at the end. I throw my copter into his copter. Obviously, I know that this is going to be suicide for my copter, but this is great for charge. That engagement got me like, was it like 3,000 or 4,000? So now I've got a 7.5K lead in charge for the 3rd Winter Fury. And that is actually a really significant amount. That's gonna make it pretty easy for me to guarantee that I get the 3rd Winter Fury. And additionally, like, yeah, I'm throwing away the copter, but this 3 HP copter is not going to be that valuable for my opponent either. And if it survives long enough for the Winter Fury, it's going to turn into a 1 HP copter. So I feel like the charge is much more valuable. The thing that's scary for me is if I get overrun by like a lot of air units. So anything that I can do to kind of slow down the air supremacy, and also builds the charge for me. So there's a lot of good things for me going on there. So I'm definitely taking a little bit of a beating this turn, but this turn for the first time in a long time, I actually have anti-air in position to fight against the copters, and I've got the Neo tank. So yeah, he picked off a bunch of units that turn. Like I'm still up a unit, I think. But wow, the total damage is like within 300. That's pretty wild. But my new tank is still fine, and it's going to eat another tank this turn, and I can fight against the air. And this turn, I'm finally ready to launch my surprise attack on the right side that I've been setting up for by keeping these infantry safe and repaired. So I go on. I know that I just wanted to. So I know I can kill this recon with this anti-air and the recon. And what I was really worried about is like, what if there's a full artillery that's covering this tank? Because as long as that's not there, I can send this tank over. Send the Neo tank over and hit this tank. So it's kind of two purposes, just to make sure that I'm not going to get slapped by a hidden artillery, and then also I want to kill this recon because then I'm going to be attacking these two cities this turn. So killing this recon is really good for a lot of reasons. Also, I see this infantry, which means that there's no tank that's going to be here, which is pretty important. Because this infantry was built last turn, so there's not going to be a tank here. It also means there's not going to be a neo-tank there, which is very relevant. So now the trap is sprung, so now I get those right side properties, and we're going to kind of front shift a little bit and swing over to the right side and take advantage of the fact that he's out of position. We're just going to get some pretty efficient trades here, but really all of that was just, I needed to kill the copter so that I could swing the neo-tank over to pick off that tank. This stuff can die, it's fine, it did its job, because if this stuff is dying, this stuff is not dying, and this is where the death blow is coming. And also kind of attack into a city there. That's mostly just to weaken this so that there's even less potential power to fight into my caps. I'm thinking maybe if this is low enough that I might be able to get this city as well. I'm like pretty confident that I'm going to get this city. The only way I don't get this is if there's like a copter that comes down and hits it, but then he's got to deal with this anti-air, right? So if this tank is low, then it's going to be hard to deal with the anti-air. So fighting is good. And now my copters are starting to show up, and so now the situation is going to flip, where he's going to have to worry about my air threat. And my neo-tank is still doing a lot of damage. Yes, that tank was newly made last turn, but he's only able to use that to get vision. Plinks down the 1 HP anti-air, but who cares? The important thing is that those infantry stay alive, and really anything else that happens is totally fine. I see the neo-tank here, so that's really good. Now I know that there's a neo-tank out, and it's not going to hit my neo-tank. That was kind of one thing I was worried about, like a surprise neo-tank hitting my neo-tank and kind of flipping the tank battle. But now I know what we're up against, and anyway, so we get those two right side cities. So at this point, like, this is kind of lights out, because now, unless he's able to get those cities back, we're just gonna win pretty heavily over time. Having a 4K lead on a small map like this is pretty crushing, and my neo-tank has killed a lot of units now, and so I have no reason to be scared of his neo-tank. I can just keep my neo-tank back on a city, covering all my units, and if he wants to use his neo-tank to get value, then my neo-tank will be able to counterattack it. And also we are starting to get close again to superpower time. And so now it's like, okay, I've got a copter here. Have you been investing in your anti-air? Well, probably not, because you made a neo-tank. Yeah, so this felt like a give-up turn to me. Because when you send the recon in like this, like you're asking to get it picked off. So it kind of seemed like I want to see what you have before I resign. And now this turn, like I'm really close to the super, and you can see now, you know, that move I did a while ago to send the copter in to get the extra charge. Well, that really matters, because now it's very simple for me to get enough charge for the super. And it's going to help me kill this this neo-tank. So this is the last infantry that could kind of counter threat these two cities. So it gets slapped by the recon, and then this recon sees all the copters here, and it's like, oh, well then, thank you. And we can retreat these infantry. These infantry did their jobs. Their job is just to play defense in case somehow these cities get capped, but seems unlikely. And then his Neo-Tank dies, and this is pretty much lights out. So anyway, that was the game. I kind of felt like I won this game in the first like 12 turns or so. I think Starflash got a little bit too aggressive, and then we played kind of even, but ultimately then the Neo-Tank kind of got a lot of value. And even though I was in a little bit of an awkward situation because of the copters, I caught him out of position, and the snowball of infantry that I kind of built up over time, I ended up giving me the opportunity to close it out. So anyway, with that, I think I'm going to call this stream a success, and my voice is a little bit tired. I'll probably do some more streams every now and then, but I wanted to do one to kind of celebrate hitting my goal of at least temporarily being the #1 ranked player on the all-time leaderboard. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, hopefully this was interesting. I may end up cross-posting this to YouTube for funsies. So if you end up watching this on YouTube and you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the comments, and I'll respond to any questions or anything like that. But that being said, that's going to be all for me. This is Elagatua signing off.